Hello there, I'm Thi Dương, and you're here on another episode of Culture Mosaic on VTV International. In our journey today, we'll get a chance to learn more about the tool behind making mooncakes, the carved wooden mooncake molds. And have you ever wondered how differently or the same Koreans celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival from the people here in Vietnam? We'll get to meet the Korean community here in the country to learn more. And in the later part of Culture Mosaic, we'll chat with a German vocal improviser who aims to help people like you and me to experience Hanoi through sounds. So do stay tuned for more here on Culture Mosaic. In our program today, we'll learn more about the art behind mooncake molds, differences and similarities between Vietnamese and Korean Mid-Autumn festivals. And then it's off to a chat with German vocal improviser Michael Schiffel. The Mid-Autumn Festival is nearing, and mooncakes is a signature symbol of this festival, and it can be found in every corner around this time of the year. The mooncake is promoted as the symbolic cuisine and food of the festival, and is rich in both taste and appearance. But have you ever wondered how the pattern on each traditional mooncake is made? In this week's Culture and Lifestyle, we will meet one of the few wooden mooncake mold makers left in Hanoi's old quarters and learn more about the story behind each wooden mooncake mold.
Among the many beautiful signs and sounds of Mid-Autumn Festival, people can hear the familiar chiseling sound coming from the small shop on Hàng Quạt Street in the old quarter of Hanoi. This shop of Phạm Văn Quang is one of a few shops in Hanoi which still preserves the traditional jobs, carving wooden mooncake mold.
Nghề làm cuốn bánh thì cái nghề này là ở phố Quạt. Từ xưa nay nó vẫn là ở phố Quạt. Và nhà này thì ở Hàng Quạt là 3 đời rồi. Nó nói chung là tôi làm cuốn bánh thì nghề là nghề của nhà. Để mà làm và xem từ bé. Cổ truyền thì nó là cái khuôn này. Nhưng cái khuôn này là ra đời từ lúc kháng chiến. Tức là các cụ nói lại là Pháp nó cấm đập, cấm gõ, sợ tiếng động. Thì đẻ ra cái khuôn nhấc này để cho nó nhẹ nhàng hơn, nó không mang tiếng động.
The techniques applied to make mooncake mold for bánh nướng or roasted or bánh xèo or snow skin are also different. The mold used for bánh nướng, the roasted one, is more shallow because if we make it deep, the pattern will be overbaked. The snow skin's mold otherwise needs to be deep so the pattern can be formed clearly.
Từ xưa nay ngày xưa là các cụ hay làm cái hoa mai thọ lồng. Mai thọ lồng là biểu tượng mừng thọ các cụ. Còn đâu sau này phát triển lên thì đồng tiền và chữ phúc. Thì cái ý nó là mong muốn của mọi người và cả của xã hội. Tiền tài, giàu sang, hạnh phúc.
This huge cake mold features one of the oldest and largest patterns in Mr. Quang shops. Mooncakes made from this cake mold are normally used in special cases, especially for family with large members.
Beside the huge mooncake mold of Quang's shop, this mold of the Do's family is one of the rare mooncake molds with such big size. This traditional mooncake mold has been used to make mooncakes since the 18th century. Mooncake made from this mold can weigh from 5 to 7 kilograms and used in special occasion.
Đây là một cái kỷ niệm di sản của cụ tôi ngày xưa mà tôi phải gọi bằng ông. Tròn này là tượng trưng cho rằm tháng 8, tức là 15 là bánh là trăng tròn, cho nên là nó hình tròn. Cái hình của nó là 2 đầu con rồng và có cả 2 đuôi. Thế là chầu một cái mặt nguyệt ở giữa, nó gọi là lưỡng long chầu nguyệt. là ngày xưa là cụ mở hiệu làm. Thế sau khi mà cụ mà không mở hiệu nữa, các cụ già hóa đi rồi thì là chỉ còn lại là hai cái khuôn này.
In the modern life, new technology offers mooncake makers new techniques to produce mooncakes, such as plastic mooncake molds. However, many people prefer the traditional mooncake making style. Bao Phương Mooncake Shop, located at 201A Tweedfield Street, is among few mooncake shops that still use the wooden mooncake mold to make their mooncakes.
Cái ngành nghề này vốn nó là ngành cổ truyền. Chính vì thế đúng ngành cổ truyền thì từ khâu sản xuất mình cũng đã phải lưu giữ lại những cái phương pháp từ thời xưa. Mà thời xưa các cụ làm là toàn khuôn gỗ. Một chiếc bánh đẹp ngoài cái kỹ thuật của người thợ làm bánh thì cái đường hoa văn trên khuôn nó cũng rất là quan trọng. Đấy đòi hỏi đầu tiên là của người thợ làm khuôn. Nếu như thợ làm khuôn tay nghề không cao, họ làm ra cái khuôn nó không cân đối, hoa văn nó không sắc nét thì khi sản phẩm ra đương nhiên nó sẽ không được đẹp.
According to experienced mooncake makers, mooncakes made from plastic molds cannot reach the standard swelling. Even the pattern on the cake look really beautiful. On the other hand, traditional mooncakes made from wooden molds have better swelling. Thanks to the wooden molds, the ingredients are well cooked and we can smell the lime leaves and other ingredients. Wooden molds have been going together with mooncakes in the journey to preserve long-lasting tradition. A mooncake made from a wooden mold encapsulates the spirit of the event and traditional values.
We continue our journey in Culture Mosaic now with more on the Mid-Autumn Festival. Also known as the Full Moon Festival, it is widely celebrated among many Asian countries, including South Korea and, of course, Vietnam. Called Trung Thu in Vietnamese and Chuseok in Korean, the festival is held on the 15th day of the 8th lunar month in the lunar calendar, the night of the full moon. Now, though both means Mid-Autumn Festival, it is celebrated very differently in Vietnam and South Korea. Let's take a look now in the following segment to learn more about how this festival is similar and different in the eyes of Vietnamese and Koreans.
Mooncakes, lanterns, children, and line dances. These are the typical things that you can find on Vietnamese Trung Thu. Sangpiang rice cakes, cherry, or ancestors' memorial services, family gatherings. Traditional games and wearing the hanbok are Korean traditions of Chuseok. Trung Thu, or the Mid-Autumn Festival, is a Vietnamese festival that revolves around children. The traditional food for Trung Thu is mooncakes, which resemble the full moon. The Korean Mid-Autumn Festival, Chuseok, is one of the biggest and most important holidays in Korea. The traditional cake of Chuseok is sangpyeon, which is a rice cake in the shape of the half moon, with a sweet filling that is steamed on pine needles. On Trung Thu, children parade on the streets while singing and carrying colorful lanterns of different shapes and sizes and watching dragon dance performances. It is said that originally, the Mid-Autumn Festival came about as a way for parents to make up for lost time with their children after the harvest season. On Chuseok Day, family members from near and far come together to hold ancestral memorial services, chare. After the service, family members sit down together and enjoy delicious food, tell stories, and give thanks to their ancestors. On this occasion, Koreans will also visit their ancestral graves and join in traditional games such as Korean wrestling and Gangang Sule, a Korean circle dance. Many Koreans will wear the traditional hanbok to visit their family homes to spend quality time together. Miss Han, a Korean teacher who has been living in Vietnam for 3 years, was very surprised when she found out that in Vietnam, the Mid-Autumn Festival was also celebrated, but in a very different way.
In my first year here, I didn't really experience Trung Thu, but when I moved to a new apartment, they held a Trung Thu party for the children. Then I found out what Vietnamese Trung Thu was like. Trung Thu is not celebrated as massively as Chuseok. In Trung Thu, people prepare toys and food for children, as it is a day for children. That is the biggest difference.
For Koreans living in Vietnam, it is difficult to make a traditional Korean Chuseok meal and follow all the traditions. But Koreans like Mrs. Han still try to keep the tradition alive and introduce a bit of Chuseok to her friends. She enjoys inviting friends over to try songpyeon. According to Dr. Nghiêm Thị Thu Hương from the Korean Department of Hanoi University, for Koreans, the Mid-Autumn Festival is not just for children, but is for the whole family. It is like how Vietnamese celebrate Lunar New Year. On these days, the whole country is on the move as people rush back to their hometowns. To Vietnamese students studying Korean, this is an opportunity to experience a different Mid-Autumn Festival and to try Korean tradition and culture. They welcome Chuseok together by making traditional Korean cakes and playing games and activities.
Có những người Hàn Quốc mà người ta gia đình là thuần Hàn ấy, mà người ta chỉ có những cái nhiệm kỳ công việc ở đây nhất định thôi, thì vào những cái dịp Trung thu họ sẽ cố gắng về quê. Thế còn cái nhóm thứ hai là nhóm mà gia đình Việt Hàn ấy, thì nhóm gia đình Việt Hàn thì nếu mà các bạn ấy cư trú ở Hàn Quốc nhé, thì các bạn sẽ trải nghiệm cái mùa thu Hàn Quốc cũng như là cái dịp Tết Trung thu Hàn Quốc đúng cái phong cách Hàn. Thế nhưng mà nếu như mà gia đình Hàn Việt mà ở Việt Nam này thì một mặt họ sẽ vẫn thực hiện các cái nghi lễ mà cái ngày Tết Trung thu người Hàn họ làm, tức là họ sẽ thực hiện các cái lễ cúng tế tổ tiên trong gia đình họ. Đấy, thế và ngoài ra thì là họ cũng sẽ chuẩn bị cái Tết Trung thu cho con họ theo đúng cái phong cách của các cháu thiếu nhi ngày Tết Trung thu ở đây. Như vậy có nghĩa là cái nhóm mà gia đình Việt Hàn ấy thì có khi là Tết Trung thu là mang cả hai cái phong cách.
In Vietnam, Trung Thu is at the beginning of the university semester and doesn't attract a day off. So to many Korean students in Vietnam who cannot return home for Chuseok will gather and enjoy the festival together. Jun Yoon, a Korean student living in Vietnam, really enjoys Trung Thu.
Tết Chuseok của Hàn Quốc là dành cho gia đình, Tết Trung Thu của Việt Nam là dành cho trẻ con. Em thấy Trung Thu ở đây cũng vui và nhiều cái thấy hay với cả nhiều lúc phải thăm trẻ con nhiều. Với cả em yêu trẻ con thì em cũng thích trẻ con nhiều. Ở bên Hàn cũng ở bên Việt Nam cũng có giống nhau chút, mà nó chỉ khác nhau là nó gia đình hay là trẻ con thôi.
Different cultures have their own unique ways of celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival. But no matter the differences, the ultimate goal of the festival is to celebrate a successful harvest, enjoy traditional foods, preserve the culture, and spending time with loved ones.
You're tuning into Culture Mosaic, our weekly journal featuring the rich cultural diversity of the nation. We hope to become a bridge that connects artists and their work to our viewers out there. So, do you want to continue on the journey through various culture scenes here in Vietnam? We have a lot more in this week's installment coming up for you in just a moment, so do stay tuned. The capital city of Hanoi is a crowded city filled with sounds all around. Each of those sounds brings different emotions to people, be it happiness, anger, sadness, or just a neutral emotion. A German vocal improviser has translated some of those sounds into vocalizations in order to help people experience Hanoi in a very unique way. We'll get a chance to meet with Michael Schiffel in our segment of On the Mic this week to learn more about his project called 5 Emotions for Hanoi and see how the capital city is portrayed in musical language.
A star lantern, a mask, a wooden stick, a metal brush, a hero doll. 5 items of 5 different colors coordinated with sounds to present 5 different emotions. It can be happiness, sadness, or something more epic. It all depends upon the individual. Just step on the mat and find out. More people standing on different mats create an even more interesting mix of sound and emotion. That's what we call 5 emotions for Hanoi.
Hello and welcome, Michael. Thank you for joining our On the Mic segment. Can you walk us through the 5 emotions that you portrayed in this concept?
You have 5 different emotions or 5 different atmospheres that you can walk through. The different atmospheres are symbolized by colors. You have a red one, a blue one, a yellow, a green, and a gray one. And what exactly those colors are going to make you feel is really up to you. For example, the red one sounds quite happy. So you will step on the red mat and it will make you feel happy. And the blue one will make you feel sad. But there are more emotions, and I don't really want to put too many labels on them because it's really up to you to decide what kind of emotion it is. And the fun thing about it is that you can step on several mats at once. So this way you can even have 3 people singing sad or happy or whatever, and this way you will have more interaction and more fun experience.
Now, could you talk a little bit about the ideas behind this concept, namely 5 emotions for Hanoi?
First of all, the sound of the Hanoi atmosphere around me was inspired by my last stay when I was here. And I tried to echo that from my memory, even though it is a voice recording, so it is me singing what I feel. And secondly, we went around the city and collected items, a little bit like artifacts, so to speak, that you can also see in the performance. So once you stand in front of a mat, you stand on a mat, you will also see certain items that are supposed to make you feel, and that is connected to Hanoi this way.
Michael Schiffel from Germany works as a singer, composer, and sound artist. In addition to his concert career throughout the world, he works with a combination of vocal improvisation in loops and other electronic effects. His visit to Vietnam last May to join a jazz concert inspired him to work on the 5 Emotion for Hanoi project. As a sound artist, he was deeply impressed with the diversity of sound in Hanoi. He translated some of those sounds into vocalization of his own to depict Hanoi in a very unique way.
Your interactive soundscape has been inspired by your last visit to Vietnam in 2016. Can you tell us about your experiences and the sounds that you collected during that trip?
When I came here half a year ago, I worked with musicians from other European countries and from Vietnam, and we put a concert together. So we also had a lot of time to go around Hanoi, experience the city, collect the sounds, hear the cars, hear the birds, hear the nature and the streets. And it was a great experience because it sounds quite different from what you hear in Germany. So after I came back home, I remembered these sounds. I used my voice to create a vocal version of what I heard. Of course, this sounds very different from the actual city sounds.
You call yourself a vocal improviser, so can you explain the difference between a singer and a vocal improviser?
I am a singer, that is true, and I also teach vocals, so I'm always interested in animating other people to sing as well. But this sound installation is more about the experience of walking around and listening to the sound of the voice.
The stage of a vocal improviser seems to be arranged differently compared to a normal stage. So what role does it play for you?
Sound installation, of course, looks very different from a concert. When you give a concert, you have a stage in front and you have the audience observing the stage. But in this sound installation, it's not like that. Everybody can walk into the room and go anywhere within the room. There is no center, there is no stage. So even after I leave, the performance will keep running on its own and people can still enjoy it.
Hanoians showed great interest in being able to discover the city in a different way. Local and even foreign visitors couldn't hold back their excitement when stepping on the mat and imagining where those sounds in Hanoi came from. 5 Emotions for Hanoi marks the first time Michael has cooperated with the young sound engineer Fabian Bronner. In over a decade working in the field, Fabian said it was the first time he would install such an interactive soundscape.
When you're working at a concert as a sound engineer, it's, well, you somehow have influence on the music. You decide how it will sound for the audience. I cannot do this in here, but when you step on the mat, something will happen. And when there are 2 persons in here, that, well, something new will happen. Because when there are more persons in here, you can influence the sound in other ways than when you are just alone. We developed the whole thing in Germany, and so this was, I guess, 2 to 3 months.
I understand this is your first time collaborating with Fabian, a sound engineer in this sound space. So what can you tell us about this collaboration?
I met Fabian Bronner, the technical engineer of this installation, in Germany 3 years ago. And we became friends, and we started talking about several concepts that we could work on. And for this installation, I realized that the ideas that I had for the loudspeakers, for the sounds to play, is quite complex. At first it seems simple, but when you start stepping on the mats, it gets more and more complicated. For a sound installation especially, I would have no way of doing that myself. The moment I want interaction and a computer to actually control things, I am not a programmer. I don't know how to write a computer program, and I always need technical help with this. And that's why I'm so grateful that Fabian is there and makes this all reality.
Before Hanoi, have you created a unique space like this for any other destinations or city around the world?
I have created other soundscapes, so to speak, other sound installations, but never in this interactive way. And this was a new challenge for me because I've never done that before. And I'm very happy about it. When we set it up, I saw people walk in and try it out, and they seemed very happy and have a lot of fun with it. So I'm very pleased that this worked out.
Can you reveal your upcoming plans in sound?
I will definitely keep on improvising and singing and giving concerts, but especially now that this installation was so beautiful, it came out so beautifully, I'm also planning on doing more installations with vocal sounds in them, because I think it's a very wonderful challenge to have, and it's a new world for me.
Thank you so much for joining our program. For thousands of years, food and wine pairings have elevated combinations of food and drink. It has become a source of inspiration for many chefs. However, have you ever thought about the mixture of wine and Vietnamese cuisine? In our Connecting Cultures segment this week, we'll find out more about this exotic combination.
Wine and food are linked together, and they follow simple rules. There is an old expression, red with meat such as beef, lamb, pork, and white with seafood such as fish, shrimp, and oyster. In fact, using wine in the kitchen can be even more creative. The most common uses for cooking with wine as a marinade, cooking liquid, and flavoring, usually in a finished dish. Donald Berger is a Canadian chef who has been living and working here in Vietnam for 12 years. Don, like any qualified chef worldwide, is inspired by French cooking and the use of wine. However, 12 years living in Vietnam has also seen him fall for a local ingredient, fish sauce.
Adding the wine into the nuoc mam adds much more complexity, because, by example, if you're using just lemon, it's just sour from lemon. If you're using vinegar, it's sour from vinegar. But wine can have acidity, and it can also have all the whole complexity of the same thing that you're using for nuoc mam: the sweet, the spicy, the sour, the alkaline flavors, the mineral flavors.
Wine pairing is the process of pairing food dishes with wine to enhance the dining experience. But how to match these two elements, especially wine and Vietnamese dishes, to make the entire meal more enjoyable? It's time for some recommendations from its sommelier. Trân Trọng Hải Hà is one of the few professional sommeliers in Vietnam. He won the title Best Vietnamese Sommelier of French Wine in 2010. After 8 years studying in France, Hà returned to Vietnam when restaurants and hotels began to recognize the important role that sommeliers play. He also believes that Vietnamese people will soon know how to match wine with Vietnamese food.
Ẩm thực của Việt Nam là một ẩm thực rất lâu đời, có lịch sử 4.000 năm và rất nhiều hương, nhiều vị, nhiều gia vị, nhiều hoa quả, nhiều rau thơm và rất nhiều kỹ thuật nấu nướng khác nhau. Rượu vang không phải lúc nào cũng có đầy đủ tất cả những cái hương vị như bản thân chúng ta yêu cầu, mà bản thân rượu vang có thiếu một cái điều gì đó, thiếu một cái hương vị nào đó, thiếu một cái gia vị nào đó, thì trong đồ ăn của Việt Nam chúng ta sẽ là cái bổ sung và làm cho cái hương vị của rượu vang nó dậy mùi hơn nữa, hay là bản thân làm cho đồ ăn dậy mùi hơn nữa.
Every day, Hà has to work closely on the menu with the head chef to make the right decision to order the suitable wines that match the flavor profile of the food served in the restaurants.
Chef ơi, hôm nay có món gì đặc biệt không chị?
Hôm nay có món bún chả đặc biệt với món chả cá. Lạc có hành phi khô với các loại rau thơm.
Thì chắc là này, tất cả hai cái món này của Việt Nam ấy thì nên sử dụng một loại vang trắng nhẹ hay là vang rosé được. Em sẽ chủ đạo vào hai loại rượu này.
Chả cá is unlike anything else you eat in Vietnam. Whitefish sautéed in turmeric, dill, galangal, and green onions, served with vermicelli. The best ingredient in this dish is mắm tôm or shrimp paste.
Người đầu bếp và người chuyên gia về rượu vang, họ sẽ kết hợp ra được một cái hương vị mới trong đồ ăn, giống như là cái mắm tôm mà cho một ít rượu muscadet với giống nho Merlot Bourgogne, và bởi vì đó là một cái hương vị mới mà người đầu bếp và người chuyên gia về rượu vang đã đi tìm được ra để mang đến cho khách hàng một sự thưởng thức mới.
Because I'm not a big fan of mắm tôm at all, but I try year after year to appreciate. But what was very interesting as well is that we put directly the wine into the mắm tôm, and I have to say that the mix together is something very new, very innovative, and make something a bit closer to my natural taste because it brings a bit more of acidity into the mắm tôm.
Tôi rất là bất ngờ thì từ trước đến giờ thì tôi vẫn thường dùng đồ Tây với cả các loại rượu vang, nhưng mà đây là lần đầu tiên thử món giò và món chả quế với rượu vang, và đặc biệt là chả quế kết hợp rất là tốt với cái dòng vang trắng mà chúng tôi thử ngày hôm nay. Thì khi mà bắt đầu ăn miếng chả quế với lá húng và khi uống rượu vang vào thì toàn bộ cái mùi quế ở trong chả và mùi lá húng nó dậy lên ở trong miệng, và đấy là cái trải nghiệm mà từ trước đến giờ chưa bao giờ có, rất là thú vị.
Besides classic food and wine pairing ideas, the exotic combinations of wine and Vietnamese cuisine has created many amazing flavors. Even though some combinations are completely unrelated, it shows the harmony in culture diversity.
And that is the end of our program today. If you would like to provide any feedback or comments on anything you see here on Culture Mosaic, please feel free to write to us at culturemosaic@vtv.vn. And make sure to include both your name and address. You can also log on to vtv4.vn or our YouTube channel at vtv4go for more of our program. Don't forget to join us next week for another installment of Culture Mosaic. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye for now.